Hey YouTube, Coppersan here. We're checking out and leveling up the remastered Explorer Pirate Corsair today. I know that buccaneers are all the rage right now, but don't sleep on this gunslinger, they're actually pretty amazing. The entire first job is just tutorial, so you don't get any actual gameplay until the second job advancement. Please next one, let me skip this tutorial, it's so long. But yeah, second job advancement. Right away after the second job advancement, the Corsair is treated with some very nice buffs. Both the damage and lines on their scurvy summons got buffed. Those are your little summons, your little crewmate that walks around. And they actually got a bit of a glow up as well, they're no longer that cartoony. And the main mobbing attack, Rapid Blast, has a bigger hitbox and deals more damage as well. A bit too much damage, to be honest. My poor crewmate couldn't really do that much half the time because everything was already dead around me. Also, thanks to their weapon booster skill and Infinity Blast skill being passives now, we need to manage a lot less buffs. So after putting 1 point in the skill, you just need to have 1 set of bullets with you forever and that's it. Super nice, very nice quality of life right there. Third job is already here and together with the glown up crewmates, we're wrecking some havoc. They have some pretty insane ranges on their attacks actually. Now that we are in a bit bigger map, you can really see their range doing work. The new crewmate that we summon with third job is a sharpshooter who uses bombs for a big AoE damage. Now we just need a chef and a magician and then we're ready to become the pirate king. In the past there were always random crewmates that were summoned, at least last time I was leveling up this class, but now it's just these two nakamas, so take good care of them. Also, no more cute octopus on the minigun. That skill got remastered into this big mobile cannon thing. It hit monsters all around it and deals the same damage as the octopus one though. However, it lasts twice as long compared to before and no longer has a cooldown. I went to grind underwater a bit as well. Explorer pirates still have that passive beginner skill that makes them speedy when they're underwater. So we're zooming around in this map instead of the usual grinding spots. Besides that, not much changed for third job. You now also get status and elemental resistance with the passive skill Outlaw's Code. But those stats were just moved from your level 140 hyper skill to this one, so nothing changed really. Seer's biggest buffs and changes are now in their fourth job. Their broadside skill can now be used whenever and wherever you want to. No more cooldown. And this skill now also deals a fixed amount of damage. No more random crewmate, random damage numbers. But again, that was last time I played. I think this class changed already a bit in between. Because this class was like the most random class ever. Depending on the crewmate that you summoned, you would deal more or less damage or attack faster. Now it's just all very standard, very basic, no more randomness to it. Corsairs also learned a new skill called Firing Orders. Enemies hit by your para-targeting skill will call for a bombardment by your broadside summons, dealing more damage on a concentrated area if you're using the auto function, else you will have to use this skill yourself to mark a location your broadside summons need to focus fire on. Firing Order is amazing for bosses that are not that mobile, and if they are, just use auto target mode and mark them again with your para-targeting. Just don't use this skill when grinding, then it's not that effective I'd say. The boss's skill Brain Scrambler also got a massive buff now, dealing 980% damage, and it now hits 13 times instead of 12, but it still does have a 5-second cooldown. Your quick draw skill that was used to buff up the damage of your next attack can no longer be activated by itself. It now only has the 8% chance to apply passively, like it used to have in the past, but before you could actually activate the skill to enhance your next attack, you can't do this anymore, it's just a passive now. When you're grinding, your summons though will already feel a lot stronger. When leveling early on, try to go to smaller maps with multiple platforms, like Warped Passage in Lidibrium. Here you can use your summons to take care of the upper platforms while you can mob at the bottom platform. Grinding was not bad at all on this class. Once you reach level 140, you'll get another big buff. The Whaler's Potion has been improved, that's your level 140 hyper skill. Before the Destiny update, this skill would just heal you, reduce incoming damage, and give a few buffs to your status, resistance, and critical rate. It wasn't all that great, but now this buff is really amazing. Still healing you and reducing damage taken, but it now also gives a fat buff to all your summons. Grinding with your summons is so much better now. The skill does only last for 30 seconds though, and it has a 120-second cooldown. So the duration did get decreased, but still this is a really powerful buff right now. This was the first non-burning class that I was leveling up to level 200, and grinding a MapleStory without burning, that's so outdated. So instead of trading, I just drank level up potions like my life depended on it and reached level 199 in like a minute after reaching level 141. I saved those up from the previous event that we had in MapleStory just for this moment. And of course we used the Scrapyard introduction quest to get a full level worth of EXP at level 199 to reach level 200. Corsairs are absolutely cracked with their 5th job skills. The amount of damage and lines is insane, and 3 of their 4 burst skills have very low cooldowns for extra fun. For example, here we're fighting Chaos Horntail. Make sure to mark the boss with your bombardment and don't forget to use your Whaler's Potion hyper skill, like I totally did forget that, that was really bad. Trust me, somewhere behind these explosions and damage numbers popping out, there's a boss there somewhere. There's Chaos Horntail the Seas hiding there somewhere. Oh man, the amount of lines and bursts on this class is insane. Oh, and I didn't mention this yet, but the 4-job Hurricane skill, Rapid Fire, your bossing skill, was buffed as well, receiving a 50% damage increase from dealing 325% damage to 375% damage, so pretty nice as well. Corsairs have crazy burst damage with a ton of lines, as kindly demonstrated here by that elite monster, thank you for your sacrifice. Their lock-on skill and death trigger bouncing bullet attacks only have a 30-second and 45-second cooldown, which makes them super viable to use when grinding. And their most fun skill is Bullet Barrage. You no longer need to mash the attack key to extend its duration, it will always last for 12 seconds now. Grinding with this skill is super fun. For your hyper stats, I went with the Rapid Fire and Brain Scrambler buffs, except for the Brain Scrambler buff that increases boss damage. I am no Corsair main, but I like the additional range on Rapid Fire. I suppose you can swap that out for the additional boss damage for your Brain Scrambler though. Corsairs are definitely a lot more fun after the remaster, even though they did lose some of their personality with their octopus summons. The crewmates look a lot less cartoony, but all your summons do deal a lot more damage though, so you lost some personality, but you got some damage in return, making grinding so much easier and so much better. The quality of life changes for your summons, like the ability to resummon them right away, is pretty big as well for this class. Their bossing is still really nice, with a ton of burst and big buffs to Brain Scrambler, even though they still are a Hurricane class. Hurricane-like skills are not affected by attack speed, so generally classes that use Hurricane skills for bossing tend to be a bit weaker in the end in MapleStory Global and MapleStory C due to the higher attack speed cap. But thankfully this class got plenty of burst to make up for that, and even got some safety with an invincibility frame on their Nautilus Assault skill. Not the best, but hey, it's there. If you enjoy a pirate lifestyle where you have to maintain summons and run around the map blowing up everything in your path, then don't sleep on this class. It's actually pretty good right now. It's very viable after the Destiny update. And that was all for today. What do you think of the Corsair? Let me know in the comments. And as always, many thanks to our members for making these videos possible. Thanks to Niels de Coninck, Raar maar waar, Sebastian, Hanoy, Ryalias, Terry Kim, Vareese, Cowdy Mora, Wiley, Historycanon, BackSpaceOTI, Saffronyx, Anwar NHI, Ziggy Deer, Flidiot, Knifesu, Chen125, Cloudfix, Gusus Rodriguez, Froggy, Vira, Trevor, Michael Majaka, Ratius, Justin Vale, Silvio Nato, Stevie Zhang, Afterlord_MS, ceemak, Striker Elk, Tidal1 Pan, Victor Sundstrom, Radical Jaws, Riser Are Gummy Bullet, Lovebird, Sir Tito655, Matthias Simonson, Mr. Narc, Galanda Balavia, my name is Coppersan, and I'm super cute XOXO, PC Game Life, Dante Victory, Stanislaus Xumo Vegas, Swap to Bish, Road to level 235, 30k stat, Reboot, The Passenger, Martin Panzik, I'm Disappointed, Lucky Beats, Gable Eck, Pedro Benetti, Conrad Castales, Ace Light, Ben Wolf, Max Bernhardt, Doc on the Talker Box, Muka 1017, BMB King, Scotty Flies Fast, and Priscilla. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay safe and happy mapling!